The Mickey D's dust-up take deux. McDonald's still can't catch a big break. Protesters still kicking them in the buns for not doubling their minimum wage right now. Still shouting. Unions still pushing, and neither remotely budging. Today, the fallout from the shout-out with a union guy and me just having it out.
They made some very stupid management decisions.
And you're not
but
adding
the workers shouldn't have to pay for it.
But the workers should not have to pay for it. The workers are going to pay for it. That's what makes this argument one fry short of a Happy Meal.
It's 50 cents more a burger to double the minimum wage for McDonald's.
Come on. Now, you know it's not 50 cents more, but you just made that up, Stuart.
I do know it's 50 cents more.
Stuart, if it was only 50 cents a burger, McDonald's would happily sign at the bottom, oh, 15 bucks. What would we think?
And
we're
that's
idiots.
What we're trying to make sure that McDonald's has
Stuart,
to raise
they're not selling burgers. They're not selling fries. They're not selling like they used to. And so it went on, but the food fight, you know, has not stopped. Ready for dessert? Because here come the tweets from you, Karan. A Big Mac will double, rents will double, a can of beans will double, and then 15 bucks won't be a living wage anymore. MCG, employees want $15 an hour, fire them, so they are free to go find it. McDonald's is an entry-level company, not a top one. Joseph, if I believe in family values, I must believe in $20 minimum wage. Nice argument. I really believe in family values. Make it 100 bucks. Tom, as a father of three, I can't afford McDonald's now. Wait until your group gets $15 an hour wage. Hello, $7 Big Mac. Then there's Mandy. Neil, you are right. He is off his rocker. He doesn't get exactly how thin the margins are. He will argue those folks out of a job. But a lot of you think I was the one who was a real piece of work. Carolyn via Gmail writes, I don't understand why anyone with an opposing view comes on your show when you constantly yell at them. I don't yell at them. Kevin via AOL, show some compassion, meathead. These guys need a break. Well, Kevin, they get 15 bucks an hour. They're going to need something else, a job. And Dorothy in New York City, Neil, I know it is impossible for you to relate to hardship or what it's like to deal with a challenge, but try for once to get outside your happy little life. Now, you will be surprised how often I do just that, Dorothy. My point with Stuart Acuff, the union guy, was and is the same, and I like it. I believe the minimum wage should be raised. I've said that repeatedly on this show. But double? And not to expect some impact on the part of franchisees who simply can't absorb that cost? That's where I think Stuart has it wrong. That cost will have to be passed along in jobs that are cut or burger prices that are hiked, and by a lot more than 50 cents, I suspect. Look, it is easy to be generous with somebody else's money, but doubling someone's wages and assuming it's not going to cost someone money, maybe us money, now, you might be perfectly happy paying double for that burger after, well, you double the wage of the guy serving it. But I am betting most Americans do not because most Americans cannot. That's reality. That's math. That's dollars and cents. And this makes no sense. And today, McDonald's is trying to fight back. The company's CEO saying that he's incredibly proud of a recent decision to bump up pay by $1 an hour. McDonald's also issuing this statement, and I quote, the union has spent its members' dues money in the past 2 years attacking the McDonald's brand in an unsuccessful attempt to unionize workers. McDonald's going on to say that the company and its franchisees are standing strong against what it calls a union attack. Let's sort this out, shall we, to Cheri Jacobus and Craig Smith, who say that these workers may need 15 bucks an hour to keep paying for this attack. But my friend Komiki Konst is saying that it would all be worth it if it comes to pass. All worth it?
Yeah. So you have the protests by the union members and non-union members, not so much just about the fair pay, but they were protesting the shareholders' meetings. And the reason why they were protesting the shareholders' meetings was because the shareholders were debating over the buyback process, the share buyback process. Right. So essentially what's happening right now is over the past 15 years, corporations, S&P 500 corporations, have invested more than 54% of their profits in their own shares. And who loses out? The long-term process is the employees lose out. They're not getting their pensions.
That by buying back your own shares, you're providing ultimately more capital for your company.
It's short-term capital. And even the CEO of BlackRock, Tammy Baldwin, there are a lot of people who are against this.
It's potentially, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars.
It's dangerous, though. That's what creates a bubble.
I think it's fine to invest back in your own company, and the whole point of a company is to make money. This isn't a charitable organization, although we know that McDonald's does a lot of good. Look, the bottom line is, we all know this, you go into McDonald's, you see that there's this computer, it looks like something a 4-year-old could use. There's a picture of the burger, a picture of the item that you want to order, and you press that button. All they have to, if they force them to double the minimum wage, double the wages on this, all you have to do is fire that worker, turn that computer over to the consumer, and we can push our own button. And that is exactly
Well, Craig, my big fear with this, I'm the first to say I think we should raise the minimum wage. I don't know at what level. I do know it shouldn't be double. And I do know that that's a big pill to swallow for small, medium, large businesses all alike. So what I'm saying here, by forcing or ramming something like this down a company's throat, whether you like that company or not, whether you think McDonald's is making a lot of money or not, and lately, as you know, they've had a lot of problems, you are asking for trouble. You are asking for jobs to be cut, and you are certainly asking for consumers to have to pay more to pay for that, and they won't. What do you think?
No, you're absolutely right, Neil. You said it in your opening. This is basic math. A fourth grader that has a basic understanding of arithmetic can figure this one out. And that's why I find it fascinating, because if you broaden out this whole conversation and you look at the unions, they're going to spend millions and billions of dollars this year to fund political plans for Hillary Clinton and others, and yet they can't even fund their pensions, and they're going to be telling their pensioners they're going to be having their pensions cut back. It's amazing to me how we blame everything on corporate America and we don't deal with the reality. It's like Social Security, Neil. The money's not going to be there. We now have 11 million people on Social Security disability and 11 million people in the manufacturing area.
What I worry about, too, is that we're setting a dangerous precedent. I mean, all I argue in looking at this is that you can't, take, blood out of a stone here. So something would have to give.
So
where would it give?
It would have to give in that instead of spending 54% of your profits on your own shares, maybe you should spend it on your employees, the people who invest their time and energy in your company and making it successful.
But I want to correct you on something. When the United Auto Workers was in some disarray and concerned about losing member jobs, they were quite open to a two-tiered pay structure. So for new entrants coming in, they would be paid at a lower level as long as those union jobs were protected. I only mentioned that because that was exactly the argument these fast food owners had made for a two-tiered wage structure that would pay, let's say, high school kids or college grads who are working for them on a part-time basis a lower rate so that they're not paying everyone at that $15 rate. A savvy union realized that that was a savvy thing to do. Why is it very different when a company wants to do it?
And they are easing in. I mean, even the wage law that was passed in California.
Then why can't you argue for the same for fast food guys?
Because the reality is nobody can survive. Nobody can survive. No family can survive.
No, see, you're interested in preserving and finding it okay for union guys to do it, not when businesses do it.
I mean, if businesses choose to do so voluntarily, which they never do, very, very rarely do they ever do so.
They most certainly do.
They most certainly do. One out of how many?
They most certainly do. Cheri.
The bottom line is this is not going to be good for workers. The unions do not want McDonald's doing nice things on their own that might be good for workers because
by the way, if McDonald's were unionized tomorrow, like Walmart, this would all go away. This would all go away. And these workers then would have to wake up to the reality of paying a percentage of their paycheck to a union that really doesn't give a rat's patoot about it.
And that's what we're seeing all over the country. We've been seeing this for years. The union bosses are very different from the union members that are paying the dues. You pay the dues, sometimes you're forced to, but you may want to because you think you're going to get something good out of it with some of the collective bargaining. Right. When you get to the point where you've got the union bosses that no longer are working for the people paying the dues, paying their salaries, paying the gazillions of dollars that are going to the lobbyists in Washington.
Well, but I'll stick to this part of the subject. My issue is that I think there are a lot of very well-intentioned unions that are not trying to do something nefarious or duplicitous here, but I think they often take their workers right off a cliff. And I worry that they sell them this dream of $15 an hour like it's money out of nowhere, and the companies can well afford it, and they don't know how the franchise system works. Yes, these companies can and will pay a higher wage. McDonald's has already offered a higher wage, but it's not good enough unless it's doubling. That is unrealistic, and that is fatal.
You bet. And, Neil, let me say one thing. Monico needs to understand this. Corporations buy back stock because it's the same as cash. So, therefore, if the corporation gets in trouble, like McDonald's has been losing market share, they have cash to be able to go out and acquire new market share, thus keeping the current employees and hiring new employees.
And
wait a minute, you realize McDonald's has been...
Monica, you don't understand economics, young lady.
We're consumer economy.
No, I got to explain this to you because I think it bears
You have no clue about
explaining.
economics, Monica. Nico. I can assure you of that.
Let's not be mean here, but I will say this, Nomi,
I'm not trying to be ad hominem. She doesn't.
Nomi, I'm just saying, when companies buy back their shares to address a depressed share price, that money goes back into the operation. That money goes back into, no pun intended, this keeps beefing up an operation that's hurting, that's losing business aggressively to competitors like Chipotle and others. If it doesn't clean up its act, it won't have employees, period.
But it's short term. That's how you fix a company overnight. But it's not long term thinking. I mean, no, that's exactly what
they're doing a long term strategy. I don't know if they go the salad route or skip the burgers and fries, but it is part of a long term plan. I don't know if it's going to work.
The plan is to get rid of all their workers and replace them with
You just said you're perfectly fine. You just said you're perfectly fine with unions doing the same thing, a two-tiered wage structure.
Yes, I would not want to be a part of a company that's not making decisions that are not in the best interest of the company, and the employees do benefit by that as well. But right now, McDonald's has problems because people are not looking at their type of food. They don't go there for salads. And if you get rid of the dollar menu because people can't afford it, or prices like at that level, you're losing customers.
Would you pay double for a burger to pay a worker double his salary?
Five Guys to pay.
Yes.
I'm a vegetarian.
Oh, they're very good comment. Double for salad.
You're great at politics, Monico, but with economics, I'm sorry.
Go to a better restaurant.
No, that's what happens. Guys, thank you very, very much. This is even worse than yesterday, isn't it? Meanwhile, this senator just spent 10 and a